Hello, handler helpers, and hello, monster handler Ben. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Monster Handler Jen?
I am absolutely fantastic. What a crazy time the last month, I guess, has been since we've done one of these.
It has been busy.
What have we had happen? We had Spooktical that just wrapped up, and the beat
Yeah, Beat
hereafter, which
Hereafter.
is almost wrapping up. Lots of exciting stuff. I know we got a rare Gnarls and a rare Bleatnik with Spooktical, which I, of course, was very excited for. And you know what? I really love the birch tree uh kind of effect that the rare Gnarls had. What do you think,
Yeah.
Monster Handler Ben?
Oh, I love it. It's amazing. Big
And
fan over common gnarls. I
I'm
mean, they're all they
gonna have to tell
they're
Monster
all
Handler Tyson and Monster Handler Charlie that.
I mean, they're all common is also amazing, but I think I like that rare just a bit more.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. What else happened in the last couple weeks, Monster Handler Ben?
Oh, we got with the Beat Hereafter, we got a rare Uduk and a rare Ostax.
I
With
love Rare Duke.
costume.
It's so good.
It is. And
Let's also talk about the Spootical costume contest.
oh yes.
Ooh,
Amazing work.
I'm so excited. Monster Handler Allie and I spent about a day going through each and every submission. We had almost 500 submissions, which honestly blew my mind. You guys are so creative. You're so awesome. We always love seeing what you all create. So thank you so much to
Yes.
everybody who entered. Um,
Thank you so much. Yes, I wasn't expecting so many.
I know, and so many amazing ones too.
Yes.
It's also great. We've passed all your submissions onto our content creators over on YouTube. So that would be Matt Shea, MSM Poke Gamer, It's Legacy, and I'm missing somebody. Pure Plays, of course. Silly me. So all of the costumes are in their hands. They're going to go through and vote on their favorites for each category, send them back over to the monster handlers, and then we'll head to the final vote for the grand prize winner, who will get their very own chance to make a costume that will go in game in My Singing Monsters. That's pretty cool. What do you think, Monster Handler Ben?
It's a very cool.
Sorry, I'm reading the chat here. Everybody's
Yes.
very excited. Before we hop into questions, it's November, and you know what that means, Monster Handler Ben.
What does it mean?
I think it means
I know.
Feastember
I
is
think I
just
mean.
around the
Yeah.
corner.
Perhaps. Maybe. I
Perhaps.
mean,
I guess we'll find out.
mayhaps.
Mayhaps, yeah. We'll figure
Yeah,
it
yeah.
out. Bah. We'll see what
Huh?
happens. Hopefully we get our crazy friend Gobbledygord back out there with some exciting new traditions this year. Guess we're gonna have to
Yeah,
wait
I
and
hope we
see.
do.
So without further ado, Monster Handler Ben, why don't we hop into some of these questions? What do you think?
Yes, let's start with some of the pre-selected questions we have picked out for this stream.
Yeah, you wanna go ahead for the first
From,
one?
of course, from Hobobo. What is the relationship between Doma and the monster handlers? And now,
What's a doma?
I'm afraid to disappoint. Yeah, I have no idea what you mean. What is a Doma? Is that a thing? Is it
Is that a
a
person?
concept, a place?
Hmm.
I've never heard of such things.
I don't think there's a monster we've discovered that's called a doma, is there?
No, not at all. That's strange. I wonder
Hmm.
what this person means.
I don't know. Maybe we'll never know. Sometimes the
I
monster handlers just don't always know what's going on, but I've never heard of this
Yeah,
doma thing or person or whatever.
neither have I. I'm very confused. A very strange question to start with.
Hmm. Well,
But
I guess that's the end of that one.
yeah, I suppose so.
From Handler Helper Carmind. They want to know, are clavinat vine berries edible? That's a really good question.
It is.
What do you
What do you
think?
think? Oh, read each other's minds. No,
I mean, they look pretty delicious, I
they
have to
they
say,
do look edible,
but
but I personally
I don't
haven't
know.
had one.
No, me either. I wonder if Monster Handler Alley's ever had one. We're gonna have to ask her. Maybe on
Yeah,
one of
maybe.
her expeditions into the monster world. Perhaps she's come across a clavinat. Maybe she's even asked
Yeah,
if they're edible. Who knows?
I guess we'll have to just see.
Yep, we're gonna have to follow up on that with Monster Handler Alley. What do we got up next, Monster Handler Ben?
From Orange Soda 72,
Ooh, I
are
love
the
orange soda.
rocks you see on Material Workshop failed attempts at Zaro, creating the attunement and synthesizer structures?
Oh, that's an interesting theory. I don't know if I'd call them failed attempts. I mean, the Ethereal Workshop exists within Zorro's head, right? And we've never really seen that before. Maybe that's just what their rocks and trees look like on the inside of the colossal and colossal heads. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a failure. I don't know. I don't think even that was the intent with making like the rocks and the trees and the in there. I don't think that was personally. I don't think that was an attempt to make an attunement or synthesizer structure. I think he's just doing some decorating.
They're really cool
He's a
and kind of like a fun take on trees and
yeah,
rocks. Like I want those in the human world.
yeah. Why can't we have more interesting rocks and trees in the
True.
real world?
Although I will say we do
Yeah,
have some pretty awesome rocks and trees in the
I
human world.
suppose.
I just want some cooler ones, you know? I just want some more
Yeah,
colorful and fun stuff. All right, up next from Silly Billy. Do all of the five natural island skins exist in the monster world as a separate colossal? What do you think?
I don't think they're separate colossals. I think it's totally just the monsters are decorating in
Yeah.
response to the change of the season.
Yeah, we know how much monsters love celebrating seasonal events and even the
Yeah,
island skins, like the one with all of the wonderful vegetables laid out around Plant Island. Like maybe Plant Island just wants to celebrate eating more vegetables and like who doesn't? And we all have to wear a uniform once in a while, but maybe this
yeah,
is their chance to express themselves by changing their uniform or changing their appearance. And then they just want to spruce it up. They just want to zhuzh it up a little, you know?
yeah. Monsters totally have an eye for vibes and aesthetic.
Absolutely. And yeah, I don't think that they're separate colossals. I think it's the
No,
same
no,
one
I
just
don't
with
think
a
so.
different coat of paint. That's my theory.
I am agreeing with you. I tend to agree.
And as always, all of these are just theories. We don't know, which is why the monster handlers are always in expeditions in the monster world to try to find out more. So thank you for all these awesome questions.
Thank you, yes. Next one up from Lost the Epic Humbug. What happens when a monster in the Wubbox gets tired of My Singing Monsters Playground?
They get tired of playing playground?
Yeah, how could you get bored of that?
I think that the monsters that are, in the playground inside of a Wubbox is like that's like their favorite time. They just get to hang out with all their pals. They get to compete in fun, friendly games. I think that they ever get tired of being in the playground.
No, this is possibly the happiest place they could be.
Imagine how fun it would be to just get to play games all day, every day, Ben. That would be amazing.
That's that's the that's the goal in life.
That's
That's what
right.
we all that's what we all want. No, all work and no play.
That's right. So I think that they enjoy it. I don't think they get tired of it. That's just my 2 cents. Also from Lost the Epic Humbug, they've got some good questions today.
Yeah.
If you were able to get a monster to speak English without the use of relics, which monster would you choose?
Ooh.
Ooh. What do
What
you think?
monster would I want to have a conversation with?
I
That's
want
tough.
Theramind, I think. I think because, Theramind's got two mouths. So they probably have lots to say, first of all.
Yeah, and it's a psychic type, psychic type. It's a it probably has some knowledge in there. You could be enlightened.
Maybe it could teach me how to be psychic. That would be cool.
Yeah, you would at least get 10 more IQ points.
Oh, that would be good
Oh,
because I have so few.
yeah, no.
What about you, Monster
Yeah,
Handler
no.
Ben?
I'd want to talk to Shellbeat.
Of course. I
Yes,
know you're a big Shellbeat fan.
they're my favorite. I think I don't know if they would have any particularly forbidden knowledge to share with me, but
They look like they'd be just like, fun to hang out with. Which variant is your favorite of Shell Beat Monster Handler Ben?
Um, just the common for me.
Yeah, I do. The common has a very kind look to it. The other
Yeah,
two do as well, but there's just something about that common Shelby. It just looks so fun, so welcoming. It just wants to play a little song on its little drum kit.
yeah. Everyone needs a nice little octopus friend. Or is it a
I
squid?
agree. The jury's out on that. Is it a squid? I think it's a squid. I think Shelby is squid-like. Why don't we go with that? Not to be confused with
I
Squidward.
yeah, Squidward. Oh, now I would want to have a conversation with Squidward. Anyway, wrong franchise.
Up next, Monster Handler Ben.
All right. From yeah, 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 man.
Ooh.
If another human were to drink living ocean water, would they too become a spirit, or would they mutate into a new species?
Huh. I've never really thought about that before.
Yeah,
Do we
me
even
neither.
know? I don't think that there's ever been another living human that's even attempted to drink living ocean water.
Yeah, I
Personally,
think
I don't know if I would want to take that risk.
yeah. Like do you just drink seawater when you have the chance?
No.
I
Uh,
don't know. No, I feel like that would be
I don't think
hazardous.
it's very thirst quenching, all the salt and
No,
everything.
in fact, I believe it's the exact opposite. But um, no, and I think like just in general, like the science between our water and the monster world water is just like there's too many differences. It's impossible to know.
Yeah, we have no idea. And I don't think that we're going to be sending anybody in to find that out anytime soon. But definitely
Yeah,
a very
we
interesting theory. We're gonna have to have a thought experiment on that sometime, Monster Handler Ben.
yes, probably won't find out very soon. We do not force our monster handlers to go drink ocean
Absolutely
water.
not. I, for one, don't think that I would want to do that. From
Uh,
Doix, we've got, can monsters play each other's instruments? For example, can an octopus play a Quibble's piano with its tentacles? That's a fun question.
yeah.
What do you think?
What do you, um, I I'd like from my head canon. I think I mean all the monsters are, musically inclined, and I think they could play each other's instruments, but they definitely have their specialties.
Absolutely. And some
Like,
some monsters probably, want to share their instrument and want to educate other monsters about how they play their instruments, but the other monsters that potentially might learn the other instruments are never going to be as good as the
yeah,
original monster on that, cuz they're aficionados, they're maestros of their instruments, right?
yeah, like I think like a vocal monster like Furcorn, if given like I don't know, Bogart's instrument, I think they
Love
would
to
under
see a
I
furcorn
think
play Bogart's instrument.
I think it would understand the theory and how it works, but also Furcorn has no arms.
No, it would have to use, I guess, its leaf, perhaps.
Yes.
Perhaps that could hold something. I guess we're not really sure. Maybe it'll hold the instrument in its mouth and attempt to play with the leaf. I don't know, but I would love to see it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's my take that the musical theory and the common concepts are understood by all, but specific instrument specialties may not be shared in the same way.
I would have to agree with that. I think that's a good theory. I mean, again, we don't necessarily know. Perhaps we can send Monster Handler Allie in on another research expedition to see if she can see any of this happening in the wild.
Yes, we'll perhaps have to ask her to get back to us on that.
All right,
Um,
up next we have Scuplin. Like regular bees, does the Bazinga species make nests? Hmm, I don't know.
Now, what's your take?
Well, I was thinking maybe. maybe they don't make nests like, a human world bee would make a bee's nest, but what if their portals are kind of like the nest, because they can kind of go back and forth between different dimensions. They can go and visit anywhere they want at any time. Maybe that's kind of like the
Yeah.
parallel, or kind of like the same sort of idea, because,
Yeah.
often we see things in the monster world that kind of look like they're sort of inspired by the human world but are still vastly different, right?
Yeah. I wonder it's an interesting question if they have like a preferred location that
Oh.
they prefer to hang out in.
Yeah, and maybe some of their portals lead back to that spot, that little, like, the home base or something.
Yeah.
Kind of like that idea. All right, Ben, what's the next question on the list?
All right. From Screamu the artist.
Ooh.
Who is the best Wublin?
Ooh. Well,
Oh,
I
right.
know
Pretty
who my
straightforward.
favorite
What's
Wublin
your
is.
favorite?
Wyja, hands down. Love, love, love Wyja. But Mulch is very close. Love both of them. They add so much to the Wublin Island song. So I think Wyjo number one, and then Mulch number two. That's Monster
Hmm.
Handler Jen's take. What about you, Monster Handler Ben?
I think number one is definitely Pook for me, or Poke, or
Poak
yeah, Poek. Sorry, thank you,
with
Poek
the
for sure.
awesome mask.
Yes, I love the Plague Doctor aesthetic. I don't even
Yeah,
know if he understand or they understand that, but
but
I
that's
love the
okay.
look personally. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
okay.
love
They
Poak.
just they just like the look, okay? Yeah.
And
And then
honestly, side note, we got some awesome Poke costume submissions in the Spootical costume contest, which blew me away. Of all the monsters I thought we were gonna see, Poke was not one of them. So thank you to those who are,
yeah.
out there for Team Poke.
And then I'd have to say Bon Appetit
Bon appetit.
as second. I like the mechanics going on here. Do you think that the guy inside pilots? No, getting getting too into the weeds.
I think that they work in tandem with one
Yeah,
another.
they're together.
Yeah, but I love Bon Appetit. Wonderful, wonderful votes. And finally, we have one last pre selected question before we hop into some of your live questions from Tropic. Tropicer 93. I'm probably butchering that and I'm very sorry. If My Singing Monsters had a Street Fighter S game with every monster, what monster would you play as? Monster Handler Ben, I know you're a big Street Fighter fan.
All right, now I think
Here we go.
if I had to make some parallels here, maybe Emprat could be like the Zangief equivalent.
Yes.
He
Mm-hmm.
definitely has the big strong grappler uh uh, look to me. Like he would probably have a lot of command grabs on his specials,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but then a lot of his moves would potentially be plus on block. You know what I'm talking about,
Oh.
Jen, right?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah. You'd look at the frame data, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Emprat because he'd probably be a grappler. What about you, Jen?
I don't think that they would necessarily fit into like the Street Fighter world, because I don't think that they'd really want to, like, fight in the classic type of way. I think that it would be more of like a musical fight, like who's the best musician or something, or kind of like the Colosseum, like battling out at each other, who's the best, or who's going to be the last one standing.
Yeah, you think maybe if like they be the monsters would be more competitive and more like a almost like a Guitar Hero game.
Ooh, I love a good Guitar Hero
What
type game.
rebuttal question? What monster would be the best at Guitar Hero?
That's too hard.
Probably Riff.
True. Definitely Riff. I mean, I guess a ukulele doesn't necessarily play the guitar, but plays a stringed instrument and could probably pick
Yeah.
it up pretty quickly. Well, that brings
All
us
right.
to the end of our pre selected questions, Monster Handler Ben. Are you
Yeah.
ready for some live questions?
I think so. Let's have them.
All right, here we go. Up first, let's invite Marg MSM to the stage. Come on down. Hello, Marg MSM.
Hello.
What is your
Mhm.
question?
Um, why you can't put any decoration or any structure in Magical Nexus?
Why? Sorry, could you just repeat your question?
Why you can't put any decoration or any structure in Magical Nexus?
Oh, I see what you're
Oh.
asking. My theory to that, I think, is probably because it's inside Zaro's head. I don't think that we figured out how to get a market inside there yet.
Yeah, it's like an exclusive location, you know?
That would be my take. I don't know. I think that's a pretty good understanding of it. I mean, how can you get a market inside the head of a colossal? Would you agree with that, Monster Handler Ben?
Yeah, I would agree. I agree with Monster Handling Alley in the chat. That's too much
Oh,
travel for the decor. No established trade route. No.
absolutely. All right. Next up, we have Funny Robot. Come down to the stage.
Hi.
Hi, Funny Robot. What's your question?
Oh my god, yeah, this is amazing. Okay, alright. There's been something that's been bothering me for a while, because, alright, when Pegidna was introduced, it was implied to be related to Woolby, and Shirubble was introduced and confirmed Shirubble is like the common ancestor of Woolby and Pegidna, and Trouble was made by the Colossals. However, now with Magical Nexus, we know all monsters in there were made by the Stair Shaper, which includes Pechidna. So how can Pechidna be made by the Stair Shaper, but also be the descendant of a Colossal made Trouble? And I guess this also extends to Ruba, who is like a pom-pom like relative, but it's the same deal. So can we have any answers for this?
Great question
That
that
is a
I
great
don't know
question.
the answer to.
Yeah.
You bring up some really good points.
You
I don't think we've done enough research on these species of monsters to really know or understand.
Yeah, I think we've been stumped.
I think we have been stumped. So, ready, everybody? Stomped! I also saw in the chat that the previous question was not about Workshop, but was actually about Magical Nexus. I misheard, so I
I misheard too.
apologize. I'm pretty sure that Nexus is on, like the higher plane. Maybe the
Yes.
market can't get up there either. But yes, I apologize. I misheard the question. No, the Nexus
So
is
did
not
I.
inside of Zaro's head.
No. Incorrect.
But yes, to our previous question about Pechidna and Trouble and Aruba, I don't know. We would have to conduct a large research experiment within the monster world. I think a research expedition to know more about that because I sure don't know.
Yeah.
That would be a good question, though, Funny Robot, perhaps to put in the stumped question submission. Maybe you can also stump Monster Handler Tyson. All right,
Sounds
next
good.
up.
Yeah.
We have Ghost Gast. You have been invited to speak.
Hello?
Hello. What's your
Hello.
question?
Okay, my question is regarding about the Titans and the mirror timeline. So with mirror I'm sorry, I'm kind of nervous.
That's
Mirror Light
okay.
Island. It was confirmed that there was an baby egg glove hole in Party Island that was sucked up by the um, Prism Gate and sent to the mirror timeline. But that kind of raises the question: what happened to like the mirror Party Island, since it was carried by another glove hole that, assuming that we know. Uh,
I'm just not quite understanding your
Yeah.
question.
so what when I was researching about it, um, what I'm trying to say is, what happened to the Mirror Party Island and the glove holes that were associated with them?
Party Island?
Yes, of Party Island.
Well, if you're talking about in the mirror dimension, Monster Handler Ben, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it kind of fused together Light Island and Party Island, correct? From the Dawn of Fire
Correct.
era? So
Yeah.
perhaps some elements of Party Island made it through that interdimensional big event that fused those two islands together, and only some of the parts of Party Island are visible or are present on Mirror Light Island. Do you have any
Yeah.
other theories about that?
No, I think I tend to agree with that. Yeah, basically, yeah, after it got swept up in that big event, and yeah, it just all the pieces of Party Island were scattered, but then through means beyond our comprehension, they were brought back together again. Maybe it didn't get it all.
Yeah, maybe only
Yeah.
some elements made it through. Or perhaps, maybe there's stuff underground that like we can't see that's not on the surface.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
best guess.
Yeah. I think that would have to make sense to me that perhaps they just didn't get it all.
That's gonna be my fear. I'm sticking with that
Yeah.
one. I'm not sure. We'll have to inquire with Monster Handler Matt. Maybe he's got some insight on some of that. All right,
Yes,
who
we'll have
is
to
up
talk with him.
next? Yes, we'll definitely have to talk with Monster Handler Matt. Um, what about a question from Jar of Pickles? Come on down to the stage. Hello, Jar of Pickles.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, thank you for putting me on the stage, and
Of
also,
course.
so with the map, the map that Spirit made, it as we see in the trailer for Purple Explorer from, I think that's how you say it, from this year. For the
Yes.
pins for the islands, how did like assuming that like for for making things in the monster world, how did like what materials I guess did Spirit use to make the pins? Like how did Spirit make the pins for the to represent the different islands?
That's a really good question. Monster Handler
Yeah.
Ben, I feel like you might have some insight to this.
Now I think, personally, that uh, all the materials that he made with that map are naturally reoccurring. Perhaps paper, wood, cardboard. It's all
Oh.
he certainly, or they're certainly a scavenger. They made that map using materials that he got from the world,
Yeah, I would agree. I
especially
mean,
in
we
a
can see a lot of like on like for example, some of the decorations that come out during Perplexplore, like the map table, and you can see all these papers coming out of it, and there's stuff everywhere, because Spurt's very like into researching and making things and trying to figure things out. So
yeah,
I think that's a pretty good theory that it would be
yeah,
made from like naturally
yeah,
occurring, objects
wood-based
within the world.
materials.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, next up is Lazy Gajoob. Come on to the stage.
Hey guys,
Hello.
Hello.
thanks for inviting me. I have one question. So, Epic Quibble's description, it basically you just refuse to give it a description at all, like about its thing. So after all those years of ever since its release, what would be the best description you'd give it right now?
Ooh, that is a really good question. I wonder, first of all, why Epic Quibble didn't want to have any bio written. It does kind of look like a bit of like a rebellious monster with some of those spikes it's got on their heads.
Yeah, but just a theory to me. Epic Quibble. They kind of look perhaps a little shy, maybe a little introverted. Maybe they just really prioritize their private life.
And that makes sense because if we look at the other variants of Quibbles and like, their keyboards are very flourish, they're very bright and very, you know, I don't know what the right word is. They're just very extravagant, I guess. But the Epic
Yeah.
Quibbles is very simple. It gets the job done. It does what it needs. So I kind of think that lends into your theory that maybe they are just a little bit shy. Maybe they do just like things to be simple, kind of clear cut. They just want to make their music and not be bothered.
Yeah, Epic Quibble desires a simple life.
And hey, who doesn't?
Please
Sometimes we do just need simplicity.
just let me play my music and leave me alone.
Yeah. Now, of course, we can't say for sure whether this is the reason, but this is definitely our theory on Epic Quibble, and I think it's kind of a nice theory.
Yeah.
All right, who do we have next? Moon Girl, come to the stage. Hello.
Hello, Moon Girl.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep,
Yep.
we can hear you.
Okay, so my question is, does the Mirror Light Titan Phosphora have multiple thoughts? Sorry, let me rephrase this. Does it have two minds? Like because okay, hold up. Because the Glubpole from Party Island is half integrated into the Titan. Does Phosphora hear the Glubpole's thoughts?
Oh, that's an interesting theory. So, what do you think? Because we kind of had this part of this question earlier, saying did the globe holes make it to Mirror Island, and we weren't really sure. But if we were talking about our theory that perhaps they are below, the surface, then perhaps the phosphor would be able to hear the quote unquote the thoughts. But
Yeah.
I don't think that we have enough information to really make that call.
Yeah, it's a tough call for sure. If I had to guess, I would think there is a little bit left still in there. There's no one mind dominating,
No, of course.
but
Everything works in harmony together.
yeah.
It's a very good question, though. Again, with it being such a new discovery, even for the monster handlers, because these we just found out about these not long ago. We have a lot of research to conduct
Yeah,
before
a
we're able to
lot.
give any definitive answers. Next up, we have Egghead. Come to the stage, Egghead.
Hello.
Hello. What's your question?
Hello.
This one will be pretty straightforward. Has Mimic ever disguised itself as a monster handler during on-the-field expeditions, like it has for other monsters?
Oh, that's
Oh.
getting into some espionage. No.
I know there was a theory quite some time ago that I had actually been overtaken or a mimic was mimicking me, but in the human world, I don't know if that actually was a thing. I have zero recollection of any of
Yeah,
that happening.
and
Um,
Mimic is so good at his or their disguises that how could I even trust you right now?
I am
Yeah.
Monster Handler Jen. I don't
If
have any
you say
furthers coming out of my head or anything.
if you say so. I mean, I
I don't know about in the monster world though. I personally haven't seen a mimic on my expeditions that has taken on the appearance of a monster handler. Perhaps monster handlers Allie or Tyson have seen something in their expeditions, but if they have, they
yeah,
haven't really reported that back to us.
yeah.
Or
Uh
maybe
the
they're the
mim
mimics.
yeah, the mimics
Uh-oh.
are just so good at their job that it's quite possible and quite possible we'll never know.
Monster Handler Ben, the way you're talking makes me think that perhaps you are a mimic.
Maybe
Mimic
maybe I'm just
mimicking Monster
deflecting.
Handler Ben?
Classic deflection.
Just like Monster Handler Ali said in the chat, I guess we'll never know. We'll have to keep a keen eye out though, Monster Handler Ben, in our future expeditions to make sure Mimic isn't trying to trick us.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, something's come up. I gotta go.
No,
I got.
please. All right. Next up, we have Clamble fan number 1. Please come to the stage. Hello, Clamble fan. I'm not sure if you're able
Hello.
to hear us. We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. Hello, hello. Anyone there?
All right. Just while they figure out their audio issues, we will move on to somebody else. How about Dr. Salton Jarls, pardon me, come to the stage. Hello.
Dr. Sultan Jarls. I like it. I like it.
That's
Hello. Can you
it's
hear
a
me?
very on brand for you, Ben. What's your
Can you hear me?
Hello.
question?
Yes, we can.
First, I want to say you guys did amazing with the monster Gnarls.
Oh, thank you. I know that I'll have to pass that along to the rest of the Monster Handler team who brought Jarls to life, but I'm so glad that you're such a fan.
Yeah, it's personally my favorite monster. Speaking of that, I do have a question involving him.
All
Or
right.
them.
Ooh.
Or them, sorry. So we know that gnarls can attach to trees and bushes, correct?
Correct.
So can it attach to any other plants like lily pads, flowers, and all that? And if it can,
Ooh.
does it find it convenient?
Okay, that's a good question. In reading its bio, it does talk about how the vines attach to trees and kind of hijack the tree's motor functions. That's how it takes on that shape. I think if I had to theorize, I don't think things like lily pads or flowers are strong enough to hold the embodiment of Gnarls. Gnarls is such a large monster. It looks like it might be a little heavy, and I feel like if it tried to attach to, lily pads or flowers or anything like that in the monster world, that it might just not be enough to sustain it. What do you think, Monster Handler Ben?
I tend to agree, though you yourself are the master on all things Jarls.
I don't know about that.
You would know better than me, but what you're saying makes sense.
Yeah, I just think that it's a large monster and it's got some gumption to it. So I think it would just kind of squish too much and just kind of be immobile if it tried to take over lily pads or flowers. That's a great question though. Thank you so much. Next up, oh no. There we go. I'm fine. Um Next up we have Blot. Come down to the stage, Blot.
Blot, hello?
Hello, Blot.
Hello.
Hello.
What's your question?
Okay. I was co-
Oh,
just couldn't remember it.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, just give me a second. Just try and
Okay.
remember.
okay.
That's okay. No problem.
Okay, so 4 monsters that are familiarly related. Do they Are there any like specific bonds they take on? Like with a Pomni, would it be like siblings, or like with Eureka and Gadzooks family? Heck, even with like Teeter-Totter, despite being technically one spin to two, would they be siblings really in a way?
Oh, that's a good
Hmm.
question. I'm not sure. I know a lot of times we refer to monsters that are in the same families as cousins. I don't know if we've ever discovered any that are like a brother sister familial relationship. I don't think there's any cases of that. Are there, Monster Handler Ben?
No, I don't think so either. I don't think we've ever gone and described like brother or sister relationships.
Yeah, I feel
They're
like
all just
most of them are more like cousins. You know, they're related, but not by like the same mom or the same dad or whatever being that
yeah.
would be in the monster world. So I think that we'll just stick with cousins for now. Good question.
even just family as the general term as
Yeah. Maybe their familial trees don't even work the same way as our
yeah.
familial trees in the monster world. All right. Next up, we have Stinky Stew. 08. Come to the
Oh no.
stage. Hilarious name. Hello,
Huh.
Stinky Stew.
Hello, what is your
What
question?
is the name of Clacula and Calavera's family?
That's a
I've been
great
questioning
question.
this for months.
I know that that is a question that comes up a lot, and as of right now, there is no official familial name for this family. I know there's a lot of theories on what it might be, a lot of people looking into and researching, but at this point, as far as I know, and maybe I'm ill-informed, but I don't believe that there is an official canon name for that family.
Now, consulting consulting my documents, I thought that we once mentioned Clavicade or Clavaclad.
Claviclade? Yes, but I don't. Has that been made canon? I'm not sure.
I'm not.
For some reason, I thought that that was a fan appointed name, but perhaps I am incorrect on this. Again, we'll have to converse with Monster Handler Matt, who will definitely give us the definitive answer on that. But as of right now, let's just say that's the unofficial name
Yeah.
for the family. All right. Next up is S. Pearly. Come to the stage.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Yep, we can hear you.
First of all,
Hello.
thank you very much for inviting me over.
Of
Well, you know,
course.
Of course.
and you know how Galvana's often got their orb, right?
Yep.
What makes it so special?
The orb?
Yes, what makes Galvana's orb special?
That's a great question. I know that Galvana is kind of seen as this like, big feature of the celestial monsters.
Yeah.
Has done a lot of creating of its own, of course. Maybe the orb has something to do with how it can create so many things in the monster world.
Yeah, like as you know from its little blurb in the game, it actually contains its raw electrical power within that orb, so maybe it does use that to aid
And
in
that
its
would make
creations.
sense. That would make sense if it needed electricity to kind of bring things to life, right? Kind of like the
Yeah.
spark of life, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that, yeah, I think it harnesses a lot of the power and gives it the ability to create so many things. That would be my interpretation or my theory on that.
Yeah. And
All
it's
right.
also doubles as like a little toy he can balance on and have fun. But
Of course.
of course, but it seems to be the source of his power, perhaps.
All right.
Perhaps.
Next up, Iggy Pickman. Come on down to the stage. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Oh,
What's your question?
Um, hold on, let me get in a good position for this.
all good?
Okay. So, my question is pretty much on the prismatic.
Okay.
Okay.
Basically, with the recent announcement of Epic Arakalele, he just reminded me too much of a prismatic, specifically a green prismatic when you look at him.
Okay.
Which
Okay.
makes me wonder, how much did the Prism Gate affect ethereals? Because in the Dawn of Fire, we have no mention of ethereals yet. I feel like the Prism Gate, considering how it brought the islands into the mirror world, makes me wonder how much did the Prism Gate affect ethereals?
Ooh, that's a really interesting
That's
question. Obviously, we know that prismatics don't exist in the monster world as we know it today. They did exist in the Dawn of Fire era, but perhaps some influence from the Prism Gate is visible in some of the monster designs in the monster world. I mean, prismatics are always so beautiful or wacky and wild, and we definitely have
Yeah.
a lot of wacky, wild, and colorful monsters in the monster world. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't. It's so yeah. They weren't there in Dawn of Fire, but with the all the events that transpired between then and now, I think it's absolutely a possibility that like some of that energy has leaked out and had sway in the creation of some monster designs, but we really can't be sure.
Yeah,
But
because it's so
it's a
hard.
distinct possibility.
There's such a big, vast span of time between the Dawn of Fire era and the monster world as we know it today. So it's hard to say if that is 100% the case, but it's kind of nice to think that the Prism Gate had some
Yeah,
sort of influence on some of these monster designs. And I love prismatic monsters. I think that
yeah,
they're very fun and they're great, and I love seeing the weird, wacky, and wild designs that come out of them. So let's bring that into the monster world, I guess. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out.
yeah. Let's hope. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have skepticals. Come on down.
Um,
Hello. Yep.
can you hear me? Okay,
Yep.
so I have an interesting question.
Okay.
Are
Okay.
the okay, let me read. Are the pure magicals on Sanctum, were they created by the Stair Shaper? And if not, how did they come to be?
Well, that is a loaded question
That's
that
a lot.
I
That's
have
a
no
lot.
idea. I haven't done any research expeditions on Magical Sanctum personally, so I can't say too much about the history of where those monsters came from, or how they came to be, or the relationship with the Stair Shaper. I'm not sure, but I think that's a great question that we can bring to the other monster handlers and perhaps launch our own expedition to find the answer. What do you think, Monster Handler Ben?
I I agree with you. I think we are not in the authority or even the knowledge to say either way.
I mean, I would love to
Yeah,
know the answer.
I would love to.
I always love answering questions and figuring out how everything came to be. You ready for another one, Monster Handler Ben?
I am.
All right, Carlos the sus cat, come on down to the stage. Carlos the sus cat, are you there?
You too sus? No.
Hello.
Yeah. Um,
Hello.
I'm from Czechia.
Okay,
My English is not very good.
that's okay.
It's 10 p.m.
What's your
here.
question?
My question is, will be there any time feast emperor on con not
It,
into Dawn of Fire?
oh, it will Feastember come to Dawn of Fire?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Okay.
At this point we've only seen the core seasonals being celebrated in the monster in the Dawn of Fire era. I'm not
Right.
sure if perhaps the auxiliary seasons, like Feastember, for example, or Perplexplore, or any of those, perhaps hadn't been born yet in the Dawn of Fire yet.
Yeah.
Perhaps that hadn't come to being. We haven't seen any evidence of these seasonal events in Dawn of Fire yet, but that doesn't mean
Yes.
anything. We're always conducting research. We're always hoping to find out more.
Yeah.
So maybe in the future we'll have more of an answer about that. But for right now,
Yeah.
I don't think that Feastember has been celebrated in Dawn of Fire as of yet.
Yeah. The monster world is a vast place. It's impossible for even us to know everything that goes on there.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll discover it soon, maybe we won't. It's up in the air.
Absolutely. But a great question. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Moonwatcher. Come to the stage. Hello.
Hello. Um, my question is not very lore related. I hope that's okay.
Oh
It's-
no, that's perfect. That's totally fine.
So okay, so I understand this would be a lot of work, but I've played this game since probably like before the Fuser was released. I've like looking at the monsters on the natural islands. I'm very curious if the monster handlers have ever considered like maybe reworking the animations, because the animations have gone up in quality a lot, and they're very good now. And not that they weren't good back then, but they're not very expressive on the natural islands.
So you're asking if we've ever considered going back and maybe redoing some of those?
Yeah, I understand that would be a lot of work, so I'm not saying you should do that.
Fair enough.
But
Great question. We are
Yeah.
always looking. We're always looking for ways to improve the game in any way that we can, and we love hearing suggestions from the community of things that they think would make the game better. And it's great to hear that you've been playing since the very beginning, and of course things have gotten better. Technological constraints
Yeah.
that existed when the game first launched versus today are probably drastically different. We can definitely do more now than we could then. Is it planned anytime soon? I don't know. But we can definitely take
We
that
can
suggestion to the other monster handlers.
yeah, we can definitely take that suggestion to the art team and
Absolutely.
see what they say.
Because we just
I,
want the game to be the best that it can be.
yeah, we really appreciate the compliment that you said that our animations and everything have gotten a lot better over time. And
And we'll
do
definitely be
we
passing that along to the monster handler art team.
yeah, and should some of the old stuff that maybe didn't get as much love earlier on get tweaked, I would love for it to, but yeah, we'll have to ask and pass that on.
Yeah, but thank you so much for that awesome suggestion. It's always awesome to talk to such a longtime fan. Next up, we have a man, MSM. Come on to the stage. Hello!
Oh my god, I didn't expect to be here. Out of everything, I've been wondering this for a long time. So in the trailer of Bone Island, Give Us Stock of Bone, in the first scene, we see Blabbit and the Glooper Lagoon creature going somewhere. Where they actually went? What were they going to?
Where
Because
were
we
they
never.
going?
Yeah, that's what.
I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know if we've ever figured out where they were going. Do you, Monster Handler Ben?
No, I don't think I don't think it's implied where they're going. I think this is almost just like it's a thing in filmmaking and in TV that just establishes the scene, establishes where we are. You always want to start with that first. I don't think the scene itself had it very much meaning. It was more like to establish, yes, this is the location that we're starting in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't
I
know
don't
if we
think
ever
it had
found
that much
out.
depth.
Maybe we can kind of ask some of the other monster handlers that were perhaps around during that era if they know where they were going. But I have no idea. Kind of a fun thought experiment though.
Yeah, we weren't monster handlers yet, I don't think.
Mm-mm, we still were in training. We had lots to
Yeah,
learn, didn't we?
yeah.
All right, we only have time for a couple more here, so let's get um Grandizer on the stage. Come on down to the stage. Hello.
Hello, greetings. Thank you for having me
Hello.
here.
Of course. What's your question?
Hello, hello. So my question is, when the mirror timeline used to be a dimension, it made sense on how the monsters got to Gold Island since it's an alternate dimension connected to the higher plane. Currently, with the mirror timeline being a timeline, how does the mirror timeline intercept with the higher plane if presumably the mirror timeline would have its own mirror, like its own higher plane within its timeline?
That is a great question. I think we're still learning about the mirror timeline, as it is so new to us. I think we're still researching and kind of trying to figure that out. I don't think we have a definitive answer for that, do
No, I
we?
don't think we do.
But that's a great question that we can bring
It
into
is.
some of our research to hopefully find an answer to solve the mystery, because I would also really like to know. Great question. Thank
Yeah.
you. All right. How about Golden Plinkaju? Come down to the stage.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, wow. Hi. Oh my goodness.
Hi.
This is actually so cool. Um okay, first off, I would just want to say, oh my gosh, it's so cool to be here. I love my Sea Monsters. I love your guys' stuff. And yeah, okay. My question is so you know Pentumbra, Shady Longlegs, your boy?
Yep.
Of
I'm
course.
of
Yes.
course. I'm curious as to the light on their head because the light looks an awful lot like their eyes as well. So I've been wondering for a little while, is the light an eye? And if so, do
Oh,
their eyes also light up or are they different? Just
that
out of
is,
curiosity.
yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, I have looked at Pentumbra like a million times and never made the connection
I
between the light orb on its head and its eyes.
yeah, that's true. Neither have I. They are very similar.
They are. What if now? Again, this is just a theory. This isn't necessarily the fact. But what if none of them are eyes and they're all lights? It has to
Ooh.
light up its shadow somehow, right?
Yeah, and like the shadow
Oh, but when it sleeps, it does have
Pentumbra?
like lids that kind of cover its eyes. Maybe
Hmm.
their eyes are able to light up and that we just can't necessarily see the glow as much because they're not as large as the light
Yeah.
on the top. I'm gonna have to inquire with Monster Handler Matt about that because that is a great discovery you've made there, Golden Plinkaju, and I want to know more. All right, Monster Handler Ben, I think that's probably all the time that we have for questions. Is there anything you
Unfortunately,
wanted to
but lots of
add?
good ones.
Yeah, is there anything you wanted to add before we sign off?
I don't think so. Just keep your eyes open and heads up for a potential future seasonal event.
Yeah,
What could it be though?
I do think there is a seasonal event that might line up with a human world event at some point. I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see.
Thank you,
Well,
everybody. Thank you, everybody, so much for coming out to the November edition of Handler Hangouts with Monster Handler Ben and I. As always, you have amazing questions. We hope that we've been able to give you at least some of the answers that you were looking for. But until next time, Monster Handler Ben,
Monster Handler Jen. Do we have something
happy
to say? Happy
monstering!
monstering!
Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
for coming.